Hi everybody, this is Lisa Precht again from Essential Life Naturals with another video today that I want to show you. I dodged a bullet this week. I started to get a sinus infection. I usually get 2 a year, and this year I thought I am so not taking antibiotics unless I absolutely have to, which I'm not, I'm not so stubborn that I won't take them if I'm deathly ill. But I just didn't want to. And I knew that if I played my cards right and treated my body right, that I wouldn't have to. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of Thieves oil before. It's very popular. And one company in particular markets the product. But I think what you have to be aware of is that this particular remedy or essential oil remedy has been around since the beginning of time, and it goes way back to the very beginning of the ages, when there was a bubonic plague and there was supposedly a band of thieves that doused themselves in this concoction of different essential oils to avoid getting sick while they were robbing the dead bodies. And they actually gave this recipe up in trade for having a smaller sentence imposed on them. And so this has been passed down through the ages. So it isn't just owned by one particular company. Many different essential oil companies make this particular recipe. But it can be very expensive, and you can make it very easily yourself. And really, with just a few essential oils that you can get for under probably about $40 total, you can make yourself and your friends enough essential oil Thieves recipe to last for probably a year or two. So I'm going to start with that today, and then I'm also going to make for you something called the 4 Thieves Vinegar, which is really kind of a very similar variation of this recipe, but it's used for internal purposes. So again, it's used to fight off or ward off any kind of sickness that's coming upon you. And so it's very similar to the fire cider vinegar that I made in a previous video, but it has a different, some different properties and some different healing herbs in it. So we're going to start with the essential oil recipe, the Thieves oil recipe, which is very easy. So what we're going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about the essential oils that we're going to be using and why they're so important and why they're so amazing. So it has essentially 5 different essential oils in it. There is clove oil, which is an analgesic, antibacterial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, antispasmodic, antiseptic, antiviral, and it's also an insecticide. That's just a few of the properties of clove oil. Many people know it as something that does relieve pain because they maybe put it on their gums if they're getting a canker sore or they have a toothache, which again, be careful when you put this stuff on your skin. It can be very strong. Lemon oil, which is the next oil, is antibacterial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, antiseptic, antispasmodic, astringent, digestive, diuretic, laxative, and sedative. That's just a few of the wonderful qualities of this essential oil. The next oil is cinnamon oil, and cinnamon oil is an analgesic, meaning it relieves pain, antibacterial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antispasmodic, astringent, diuretic, digestive, expectorant, you name it, the list goes on and on. So it's amazing. Eucalyptus, which is analgesic, antibacterial, antifungal, anti-rheumatic, antiseptic, antispasmodic, antiviral, decongestant, deodorant, expectorant, diuretic, and stimulant. So again, I don't expect you to remember all these things, but I guess I just want you to pick up a few different words, and then it's all of these are anti, meaning that they fight off all of these things or help to remedy all of these things. And the last essential oil is rosemary essential oil, which is known to be analgesic, antibacterial, antioxidant, anti-rheumatic, antiseptic, antispasmodic, astringent, decongestant, digestive, diuretic, fungicidal, etc., etc. So those are the 5 main oils that are used to make this particular blend. And I use my oils from Vinegar Naturals. This is a local company that's from the Minneapolis, Minnesota area. They're also located in many of the hospitals now are using essential oils, and the hospitals are using the Vinegar brand. We're also in all of the co-ops, a lot of the natural food co-ops here in Minnesota. I don't know about the other states. I'm sure many of the other states as well. I just like this brand. It's been around since 1995. They're very pure oils. They're unadulterated. They're high quality. I really like them. But I'm not going to put down any other brand. If what you have is a different brand or what you like is a different brand, that's fine too. So I'm not here to smash other brands. I'm just here to kind of tell you really how to make this recipe. So that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to start with a clear, clean glass bottle. And when we are using essential oils, you want to use a dark glass bottle. And that keeps the essential oils properties strong, and they'll last a lot longer. So I've got a cobalt blue one, but you can also use the brown ones. And, keep your bottles, keep your essential oil bottles, and soak them in real hot soapy water, or you can, lightly boil them to disinfect. They're kind of already disinfected, just to clean out the essential oil smell, and reuse them because they're expensive. They're, a couple bucks a piece sometimes. So, or you can buy these at your local co-op or online. So I have this particular one. It's just a 1 ounce bottle. And what I'm going to be doing is adding my first oil, which is clove bud, and it is 40 drops of clove bud oil. So give me a second while I measure this out. So it's kind of slow. That's like 10 drops. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm just going to stop at 12, and I'm going to go on so that you don't have to wait for me to measure my oils. The other thing I might want to say too is if you've got a bottle like this that's really super slow, you can use these little pipettes that you can get. Again, you can probably get these at, well, I know you can get them in essential oil companies or online. You may be able to get them at a beauty supply store too, but I got these online, and they're great for when you're in a hurry and you don't want to, wait for an oil. So you can do that. So we've got 40 drops of clove oil. The next is 35 drops of lemon oil. Okay. And again, I'm just going to put a few in here to begin with. All right. And the next oil is the cinnamon oil, and we're going to do 20 drops of cinnamon oil. And some of the oils are a little bit thicker and more viscous, so they're going to come out slower. But I'm not going to do all of them because I don't want you to wait. 3 more. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that was 20 drops of cinnamon oil. Then the next is 15 drops of eucalyptus. This seems to come out a little faster. And the last oil is 10 drops of rosemary. And that's a lighter oil as well. Okay, now once you've got this all mixed up, you've essentially got your Thieves oil. And it is a very strong, mixture of oils. So what we always recommend when you use an oil like this is to dilute it in some kind of a carrier oil. So you could use jojoba, you could use olive oil, you can use fractionated coconut oil, you can use grapeseed oil, really any kind of oil that you have on hand that's edible and preferably organic, or a clean oil is the best to use. So usually 6 to 10 drops in about 1 ounce of oil is what you're going to want to use. Now, when you're diffusing this, in other words, you're putting it into steamy water or a diffuser to diffuse it maybe over a steam bath that you're going to breathe in for perhaps, an upper respiratory congestion or sinus infection, you don't have to use the oil. Or if you're going to put it in your diffuser, don't use the oil because that'll clog it up. But some other things that you can use it for, and this is when, and again, you don't have to necessarily dilute it in oil if you're going to put it on the bottom of your feet, which is generally a place that we like to use essential oils because it does get into your bloodstream really quickly. It depends on your skin. So I don't have extremely sensitive skin, so I don't necessarily have to dilute the oil. But if you're worried about that, you want to do a test patch on the inside of your arm to see how you react to it before you use it directly on your skin. But otherwise, for most other parts of your body or applications, you want to dilute it. When I was getting the sinus infection this week, what I did is I had the oil and I did have it already diluted in grapeseed oil. And what I did is I put a little bit on each of my fingers, and I very carefully massaged it up and into my sinuses, above my eyes and under. Now, again, being very careful that the fumes don't get up into your eyes or that you don't touch your eyes. So be very, very careful about that. I also, probably 3 or 4 times a day, put it on the tips of my fingers, and I rubbed it and massaged it into my lymph nodes and into my glands. 3 or 4 times a day, and put it on the bottoms of my feet. I diffused it into some warm water that I put a towel over my head, and I had just steamed it until it was cool. And you can also rub it on your chest. This was an awesome way to use it, and it really helped. I'm telling you, 2 days of this and my sinus infection was gone. The other thing you can do is you can add it to your soap, your liquid soap. So any kind of just a liquid soap that you have, preferably like a very mild natural soap. You can add that too and make yourself an antibacterial soap. You can also put it into water, about 6 to 10 drops in water, and shake it up and use it as a little spray disinfectant rather than Lysol. Do not use that stuff. It's horrible. So why would you go to all the trouble of trying to get well and then spray that stuff in the air and breathe it? I mean, you might as well just inhale it, because it's just horrible. A couple of other things that you can do with it is use it for a massage oil. It's great if you have sore muscles. So, again, diffuse it or dilute it into a carrior oil and put that on your skin and just rub where your muscles are sore. I tend to get sore around my neck and back, so that's where I tend to use it. Or you can use it as a hand sanitizer. So if you carry it in your purse in water, or you can put it in like aloe vera gel or something if you'd rather. 6 to 10 drops in about an ounce always is the dilution, and then spray it on your hands after you've shaken somebody's hand that's sneezing, or you're out shopping or whatever, and you just want to disinfect your hands. So those are some great ways to use it. So now you know how to make your own Thieves oil. It's great. Again, all your supplies, I know when I looked at all the supplies for this with Windmere, it was going to be like $35, and that was probably going to make about 4 ounces of Thieves oil, and you cannot even buy it. I think that one of the brands out there, and I won't mention who, very, very expensive, ridiculously expensive, and you can make it all for under $40, so why not do that? Okay, some essential oil companies claim that you should ingest your oils, that you should put them on your, on your tongue, your throat, whatever. I tend to try to be very careful about that, because essential oils are very, very strong. I mean, they can eat right through, if you spill it on your furniture, they can eat right through the surface of your wood. So why would you want to put that down into your stomach? What if you have a weak stomach lining and all of a sudden you're eating a hole right through your stomach? So probably not a good idea. Although when I have diluted it in an oil, if I have a sore throat, yes, I will put a little bit back on my tongue. And it really does help. But again, I want to be very clear that I do not condone the practice of ingesting essential oils. They're very, very, very strong. You've got to be careful. So that is on you if you do that. So that being said, rather than ingesting essential oils, what we're going to do is we are going to make a kind of a very similar recipe, which is the 4 Thieves of vinegar, that is used for ingesting. It is used when you're coming down with something and you want to take something, every day to kind of ward off all of those, cruddy germs that are going around. And this one is called 4 Thieves vinegar. I got it out of this book, which I use a lot. I think I used it in one of my other videos. It's Rosemary, Gladstar's Medicinal Herbs. I really like this. If you look on the line, you'll see there's probably about 50 or 100 or 1,000 different 4 Thieves vinegar recipes. There's also different variations of the Thieves oil. They're all really good. Just find the one that you like. This particular one, I'm going to start with a wide mouth glass jar that is clean. And I'm using my little canning funnel because as I pour the herbs into this, I didn't want it to go all over the place. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with 4 cloves of garlic that are finely chopped. You do not have to put the garlic in, but garlic is great. I mean, again, when I was getting my sinus infection, I was taking vitamin C, zinc, and garlic 3 times a day. And again, I am not sick. So look at me, I'm living proof. All right, a half a cup of lavender flowers. And I've already measured these out to make it faster. So we're just going to layer that into the jar. We're going to also do a half a cup of rosemary. And, if you don't have the big amounts of these on hand, which probably most of you don't, but I do because this is stuff that I do all the time. If you go to your local co-op, they do have bulk herbs and bulk spices. You can get things like lavender and elderberries and rosemary and things like that in bulk. And sometimes even at your local grocery stores, if you look near the fruits and vegetables, they'll have those spinning racks, and they a lot of times will have bulk herbs there as well. Like, you know, your cooking herbs like thyme and rosemary and things like that. So for this recipe, most of the things that you're going to find, excluding the lavender, you can probably get at your grocery store. So half a cup of rosemary into that. Then we're going to add a half a cup of sage leaves, and this is ground sage. It looks like dryer lint, but it's not. It's sage, which is yummy. A quarter cup of thyme here. So I'm going to add that on top. And then we're going to add, the recipe called for some clove powder, but I really didn't want to use clove powder because I was afraid that it wasn't going to strain out very well when I came to strain it. So instead I'm using about half a teaspoon of just whole cloves. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to grab some kind of a little stick or something. Well, actually we'll use the back of this. And then the other ingredient, which is what you're using to pull this all together, is apple cider vinegar. And apple cider vinegar is already amazing, and everybody claims that it's kind of the, you know, be all and end all for everything. So I'll tell you a little bit about what it does. It's again, when you buy apple cider vinegar, it's best to get organic, and for sure get unfiltered. Get something that's called the apple cider vinegar with the mother in it, and that means that's the original kind of blob of bacteria that forms the vinegar. It looks kind of like a gray cloudy mass on the bottom of the bottle, but what makes the vinegar good for you? It's what has all of the good bacteria that's good for your gut and good for the inside of your body. So this is great for balancing your pH. It's great for weight management. It's great for detoxifying. It's great for helping to release your lymph system. It's great for helping with allergies. It reduces mucus. It helps with sore throats, relieves heartburn. It's great for constipation. So in itself, apple cider vinegar is great. But what we're using it for, and we're using it slightly warmed, is we're going to be diffusing all of the medicinal properties of these herbs into the apple cider vinegar. So what we've done is we are going to mix this all up. So basically you're going to add enough apple cider vinegar to cover these herbs, and you might have to stir it in a little bit because, you know, they kind of tend to float on top, but once they're saturated, they will soak down to the bottom. And so you're basically making an infusion is what you're doing. So it's simply kind of like making a tea. When you make tea, you're making infusing. You're infusing the flavor of the tea into the water. Well, you're infusing now the medicinal properties and the flavors of these herbs into the vinegar. So what we're going to do is you're filling it up, and you're going to actually put a lid on this. I'm not going to stir this all up right now, but you get the idea. Put a lid on, and you're going to put this in a dry, cool place for about 4 weeks. I tend to put these also in my windowsill because it's almost like making sun tea, because the warmth of the sun will help to infuse it a little faster, and it takes about 4 weeks until this is done. So obviously we don't have the time on this video to fast forward to 4 weeks, but what you're going to end up with is a wonderful infusion. At the end of 4 weeks, you're going to uncap it. You're going to pour it through a cheesecloth or some kind of a very, very tight mesh strainer into another jar, and you'll keep it in your refrigerator for, I don't know, 2 years, however long you need it. But the idea of this is to take about a teaspoon of this every day, or take it, 4 or 5 times a day if you're getting sick. So similar to this fire cider that I made about a month ago on one of my other videos. And it's just great. I mean, the other thing you can do with these vinegars is you can use them as salad dressings. So you can mix them up with a little oil and use them on your salad. And why not? It's like having amazing natural medicine on your dinner every night. So how wonderful is that? So I hope these things are helpful. Go see my other videos at Essential Life Naturals or at Lisa Precht. You can also go to my website, essentiallifenaturals.com. Leave a comment. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay healthy, have fun getting healthy, and we'll see you next time.